Hello there guys, welcome to Man Discovers Tech. Today I've got a special little amplifier to show you. This is the SMSL SA300 and yeah, this is causing kind of stirring up a bit of a storm at the moment because what it is, in fact, it's a Class D amplifier and it's intended for desktop use or for powering small speakers, low volume, medium volume, that kind of thing. So what is it exactly? Let me read the specs to you right now. So this has the new Infineon Class D chipset. The exact model number is MA12070 and the reported power efficiency is 92%. It also features Bluetooth 5.0 with aptX support, and it also has a USB in, if you can see that there, and that's because it also has a DAC on board as well, 32-bit 384 kilohertz. You can also adjust the equalization on this, very basic features like your bass and your trebles, so nothing, like parametric equalization or anything like that, but it's still a welcome addition in my opinion. And what I found quite unusual was it also has a subwoofer out right there, if you can see that. So that's in case you want a 2.1 system, so your left speaker, right speaker, and a subwoofer as well. We also have RCA line inputs right there. So that's if you want to connect, let's say, your own external DAC or a CD player if you still have one of those. And you can get this amplifier in 3 different colors. You can get it in a black finish, you can get it in a blue finish, but I was a little bit kind of attracted to the red finish of this one. I was going to go for the black one, but then I liked this one in the end because, I mean, look at it. Imagine that on your desk. It's quite neat, quite cool. It's not a, standard mainstream product because you would never find an amplifier in red really. It's got something else to it, and that's why I bought it. There is also a remote control included, which I don't have to hand. Yes, I do. Here it is. This is the remote control right here. The focus on this thing is like annoying me at the moment. 1 second. Yeah, so it has a remote control. Here's the remote control that you can use to control the amplifier and the measurements. So it's 7 centimeters wide and it is 18.8 centimeters in depth, and the height is 7.3 centimeters. So you can see from my hand, it's a very, very compact amplifier, this is. And it also has an LCD display here, which you can change the color of. You can change it from like blue, red, yellow, orange, different colors. But one thing I couldn't do was actually turn the LCD display off, which might bother some people. But you can adjust the dimness, I think, or the brightness. So it didn't bother me too much. So the amplifier specifications, I have these written down as I can't remember them off the top of my head. But we have a signal to noise ratio that's reported to be 90 decibels. We have channel separation at 88 decibels. We have output power at 80 watts times 2, so 80 watts per channel into 4 ohms. And we have 40 watts per channel into 8 ohms. Now I'm assuming that this means peak output. And I've read on another website, I think, that it's estimated to be around 18 watts a channel, RMS. I think that's about right. And yeah, that's what we would expect from a small amplifier like this anyway. And yeah, standby power under 0.5 watts if you care about energy efficiency and all that sort of stuff. First of all, the design, and what do I think of it? I mean, I haven't really got much to say about the design, to be honest with you. It's a neat little unit. It fits on a desk. I think it serves a purpose, and I think it does serve that purpose well. What's the performance of this amplifier? So I just want to say, guys, that on this channel, I buy the stuff that I actually review, which is why I don't have, hundreds of reviews, like live demo reviews, like other channels, because they get sent them for free. But what this kind of gives me, which I can offer you, is a down-to-earth opinion on what I really think about this. And I'm not going to hold fire on the negatives because, I got this little unit for free. I didn't, I paid for it, so I'm free to say whatever you want. So if this is the type of review that you want, then I would recommend that you subscribe to this channel. So I tested this amplifier with 2 of my speakers, and I tested them on my desk, as that's the kind of location where I think a lot of people will be testing this amplifier, as it's really intended for desktop use. I tested this with the Q Acoustics Concept 20, and I also tested this with a much better speaker, which is the Monitor Audio Studio, which has recently been discontinued and it's just come into my hands. Now, I believe the Q Acoustics is a 6 ohm set of speakers and the Monitor Audios are 4 ohm impedance. So what I found was the SMSL SA300 was able to power the Q Acoustic 20, the Concept 20s, a little bit better than the Monitor Audio Studio, and we'd expect that because the Monitor Audio Studios, they're more demanding speakers than the Q Acoustics. And I also tested these speakers both using the USB in and also the line inputs there. I actually also tested Bluetooth briefly and it did work, it worked fine, but I preferred to go with the USB input. So at this price point, I do believe that the quality is very good. I was very impressed actually with this amplifier at this price point. It's better than some other amplifiers that I've used in the past that are, you know, twice or 3 times the price. It's got like a clean sound, a clear sound. It's free of any artificial timbre or anything like that that's been added to jazz up the sound a bit. It's free of all that. It's just a clean, pure amplifier. And that's, you know, if you're looking for an amplifier like this, then maybe that's what you want. And to be honest with you, I was worried about the bass performance of this unit because I was thinking, well, maybe it's not going to have enough power. But I was quite surprised that it was actually doing quite a good job with the Monitor Audio Studios even as well, and the Q Acoustic Concept 20s. Let me turn my phone off. This always happens every single video. So yeah, back to the bass. I found that the bass had good timing. I didn't think that the bass was like kind of sloppy. It wasn't slopping around like you find with some other amplifiers on the lower end of the amplifier market. So I think overall it was respectable considering the size, considering the price. And yeah, I think it's an amazing achievement, and it just goes to show you what us consumers or customers, whatever you want to call us, or audiophiles, what we can now expect. Now we have companies in China that are able to produce quality amplifiers, headphone amplifiers, DACs, you know, all that sort of stuff, what we're able to expect now that we have other brands that are able to offer such good quality at a low price. And I think that the next 10 years in hi-fi is going to be very different to the previous 10 years. Now, I also compared this directly to a Hypex NC252 amplifier, which I am the owner of, and that's about, I would say, 3 times the price. Maybe not the fairest test in the world, but they're both Class D, and they're the amplifiers that I had to hand that were in that category. So perhaps some of you want to know. So here you go. The Hypex, as you'd expect, blew the SA300 out of the water when it comes to bass. But that doesn't mean that this sounded bad when it comes to bass. It just means that the Hypex sounded so good when it comes to bass. You know, in terms of the iron grip it has over the driver, it's so tight, so controlled. You know, to some degrees, you know, with the Hypex unit, it can be a bit clinical sometimes, and a lot of people don't like that, which I can understand. And sometimes I hear certain music and I think, you know, it kind of sucks the life out of it a little bit sometimes. But for the most part, that extra clarity that you get in return is worth it. Now, with the SA300, it still has a good sense of control over the bass, but you just don't get the same like level of timing with music that you do with the Hypex. It's also the sense of soundstage as well. With the Hypex, everything kind of opens up, and yeah, I mean, bass can really have a big impact on the final product, and I think that's the major area where the Hypex is better than this. But it's also £400 to £450 that I paid for that unit, and it's just a power amplifier only, nothing else. This is an integrated amplifier. You get Bluetooth 5.0, you get USB in, DAC inbuilt, and you get a Class D amplifier, Infineon chipset as well. So when you consider all that, you know, it's 3 times the price, but it's really more than 3 times the price because you're not getting any extra features like a DAC and whatever. So yeah, the Hypex is better, maybe not 3 times as much, but that's how audiophilia is. That's how hi-fi is, isn't it? So there we go. I also think the Hypex, when it comes to the trebles, I think they were a little bit more kind of sparkly, a teeny bit more sparkly. And yeah, I think a lot of people will prefer that, and again, I think a lot of people won't prefer that. It all depends on your room, it all depends on the speakers that you've got, and it has to kind of work. You know, for example, the Hypex unit, it worked very well with my Q Acoustic Concept 20s, but that same amplifier partnered with the Monitor Audio Studio, it wasn't the same kind of synergy as this had. You know, I think that the Hypex with the Monitor Audio Studio, it became a little bit clinical. I still enjoyed it though, but I feel a lot of people might have found it clinical. So yeah, synergy is something that you have to consider. Now, another thing that you might want to consider when it comes to amplification is, does the amplifier have some sort of EQ function built in? And this one does. It has a very basic EQ built into it. If that's what you want to do, then fine. It's really not enough for me, to be honest with you, because one, it's not parametric. So if it's not parametric, in my opinion, you can't really control like the elements of the sound, the specific areas that you want to kind of, you know, you might want to trim down or whatever to suit your room better, or gain as well, you might want to turn up to suit your room better. It all depends. So you can't do that with this. So for me, it's not something I would actively use, but a lot of people might want to use it. Also, the other thing is, with this amplifier, I wouldn't say that it's powerful enough to deal with equalization. So the thing is with EQ, if you want to boost, let's say, a certain frequency, you're placing extra strain on the driver and the amplifier. And that's why I think that this amplifier here is not the most suited for that purpose. Again, it's more like a plug and play sort of unit. The Hypex gives you a lot more headroom. So I think that when it comes to that sort of thing, you might want to be beefing up your amplifier a little bit more. If you just want plug and play, then I think this is enough. And if you just want to muck around with the EQ on this, then that's okay. But if you want to go into, you know, if you want to start performing surgery on your EQ and stuff, then I don't think this is the right amplifier for you. Another thing about this, a lot of people are wondering, what's the DAC like, the inbuilt DAC? Now, a lot of these Chinese manufacturers these days, they give you a pretty decent DAC as standard now, even in cheap products. It's quite impressive. And I have, it's not here actually, I think it's downstairs. I have a Topping E30, and I tested the Topping E30, which is like it's almost like a reference DAC. You know, how it measures, it's off the charts. A lot of people really like it. It's very clear, very transparent sound. And yeah, the Topping E30 versus this, you can immediately tell that there's way more detail in the mids, there's way more detail in the bass and the trebles as well. And for sometimes the trebles, all you hear is like lots of layers to the track. Badly recorded music, it can sometimes sound a bit worse, but that's not because of it's not the DAC's fault. So yeah, I would say that this still offers up a very good sound. I heard it in a lot of pieces, I was perfectly happy with it. I think the Topping E30 just gives you that final 10% of the sound. And once you hear that kind of level of sound, it's very difficult to go down, you know, and be happy with anything else. So the fact that I was happy with this SMSL SA300, I think they should work on the naming strategy, to be honest. But to say that I was actually happy with this is an understatement. I was actually very happy with the sound quality, and I think a lot of people would have found it just as pleasing as the Topping E30. That's my opinion on that. Now, I do think that this unit is not completely faultless. It does have its drawbacks. So two drawbacks that I'm going to let you know about today, and it might just be exclusive to this model that I've got in front of me. Other models, other people might have the same amplifier and they might not experience the same problems that I did. But the RCA line inputs that we have here, I found that there was a significant amount of noise compared to the USB digital input. And I tried everything to get rid of this noise. I was thinking perhaps there's some sort of, Wi-Fi interference or some sort of interference in the house. I turned off the networks. I got aluminium foil and wrapped the thing. I wrapped the routers and everything like that. I tried different, moving it to a different socket, to a different ring main. I tried lots of different things. And in the end, I just figured, look, it's this, okay? I tried my topping E30, which is what I was plugging into here. So I was thinking it could be the topping E30 that was causing that. But I tried it on two different amplifiers, obviously the Hypex, and I have a NAD power amplifier behind me, and they weren't having those same problems with the topping E30. So I suspected it's got something to do with this. I also tried some other devices as well to connect to this, so some other sources, and one of them was my phone. So I used my phone and I could still hear there was like a noise. And what else did I use? I forgot what else I used now. I think a preamp. I forgot now. But yeah, it's definitely this. So there's some sort of noise in the background, and I didn't hear it at all on the digital input. So that's that. And the other thing was, if anybody is sensitive to hiss, so like when you turn up, let's say you're not playing any signal, you turn this up and you can hear like a sort of sound. If people are sensitive to that, then I don't think they should buy this, because you're going to get a little bit of background hiss with this. It's not like really, really bad. Just thought I would say it's there. My Hypex NC252 by comparison is silent. So yeah, you probably won't notice it at quiet to medium volumes, but yeah, that's what I'll say about that. So what's my overall feeling about this amplifier? Well, I tell you something, I like the look of the amplifier. I really want to like it more than I did. Okay, I felt like the sound it offered up was neutral. It wasn't too sparkly or anything like that, which I'm quite sensitive to sometimes. The bass was even quite pleasing as well, which I was surprised with. And yeah, it never sounded sloppy. And I think that you could compare this amplifier to mainstream amplifiers that are twice the price or maybe 3 times the price, so anything up to about £500. Not saying that this is better than those, I'm saying that it's comparable to those. In some ways, it might sound a bit more grown up. For example, the Marantz amplifiers that I've heard in the past, especially like the 6000 series, they have like a fat bass sound, and they're a bit energetic in the trebles. That's not, I wouldn't call that a grown up sort of sound. It's a fun sound, and if you like it, you like it. I like Marantz products. I've got no problem with them, but I'm just saying that that's not a kind of studio sound. That's just that's an enjoyment sort of sound. So in terms of that, I would say this sounds a bit more grown up than those sorts of amplifiers. But it won't have the same power. Low to medium volumes is where you want to stay at with this amplifier. Obviously, the main downsides were the background noise via the line inputs. No idea what was causing that. And also, we have the problem with the hiss as well at the highest volumes. With a silent, with no signal, you can hear there's something going on there. So if you're sensitive to those sorts of things, then don't buy it. But if you want to spend £130 or even less sometimes, depends where you buy it, and you want a quality amplifier that's not going to be adding too much or taking too much away from the audio, then I think this is a good way to go, or at least a good thing to shortlist and start with. There's lots of opportunities out there now with the Chinese making all these nice amplifiers. I think there's another one in a similar price range. I believe it's called the Topping PA3. And I believe it uses a Texas Instruments Class D chipset. So that's another one that you might want to consider. Can't say I've heard it myself, but I hear very good things. So that's what I would recommend to you. Anyway, guys, If you haven't liked the video, please like it now and subscribe if you want more unbiased reviews. And I'll see you next time.